Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Goal, joining you from my car, which can only mean one thing. Yes, I am at the Arsenal training ground here at London Colney for Mikel Arteta's press conference ahead of the game against Fulham tomorrow. It was supposed to be at 1 o'clock today, but as usual with Arsenal, they changed it very, very late. First to 12 o'clock, then they realised that clashed with the Europa League draw, so they've moved it to 11 a.m. this morning. So as usual, I will be in there listening to what he has to say, and then I will do a piece to camera afterwards talking about the big main talking points from it, which probably going to be about where you think transfers are definitely going to come up, because we are now into the final week of the transfer window. We'll get a bit of an update to see exactly what's going on from that, as much of an update you ever get from Mikel Arteta anyway, because he doesn't normally speak about transfers. Nicolas Pepe obviously completing his move to Nice yesterday, late yesterday evening, so we'll see what he has to say about that, I imagine, and about whether Arsenal will be bringing in a replacement for Pepe. He won't talk about individuals. He might well be asked about Pedro Neto, but I doubt he'll talk about it. But there'll be other stuff as well, team news and plenty more to come. So I'm going to head in a minute, and I will then join you afterwards to see exactly what he's had to say. Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Goal, joining you from London Colney after Mikel Arteta's press conference here ahead of tomorrow night's game against Fulham, where Arsenal will be looking to make it 4 wins out of 4 in the Premier League, 12 points from 12. Now that would be nice, wouldn't it? Quite a bit to talk about from the presser today. I mean, if you're going to be expecting Mikel to talk about transfers as in names of transfers, then you're going to be disappointed. He doesn't do it. He never does. There's no point even asking about it. But he did open up quite a bit on Nicolas Pepe, his exit, the potential plan for replacing Pepe. He talked about team news, that sort of thing, and potential outgoings as well. So some of the main things, we'll start with Nicolas Pepe, shall we? And not so much his move, but whether Arsenal are going to replace him. Now, I asked Mikel whether Arsenal will be replaced. I basically said, look, the expectation is now, certainly amongst the fan base, that you will be replacing Nicolas Pepe. That's why you decided to let him go. Is that the case? And he says, if we can implement the plan that we have, we will try to do it. In that plan, Pepe leaving was something that could happen. Now it is a reality, and we have been preparing the last 2 months in order to achieve what we want. Whether that is possible or not, we will see. So, certainly saying that Arsenal basically been preparing for the last 2 months to replace Pepe. They knew this was probably going to happen. They were working towards it to happen, and they were looking to bring in a replacement. Now, we know they're interested in Pedro Neto. I've spoken about that in the last couple of videos. But like Mikel says there, whether that is possible or not, we will see. He doesn't know if Arsenal are going to be able to implement this plan. There's one in place, but whether they can actually get the deal done, whether Wolves or any other club who Arsenal are looking at a player from are willing to sell this late stage in the window, that remains unclear. But there's certainly a plan that is in place to find a replacement for Pepe. So positive words there from Arteta, but also a little bit of a warning as well, that just because the plan is there doesn't mean that Arsenal are going to be able to achieve it. I then asked him, look, if you don't manage to sign anyone, are you confident that this squad that you have right now is strong enough to achieve what you want to achieve, certainly until January at the very earliest? And he said, we have done things in a different way this summer. At the start of the window, we signed players before getting other players out. Now we have done something different. We have let a player go, and maybe we'll be able to recruit somebody, but it's not a guarantee because the players are still not here. What I do guarantee is that the day the window closes, for me, this is the best team in the world, and I'll try to get the best out of them. That's it. Interesting, he says players there and not player. I don't know if that's just me reading a little bit too much into it and it was a little bit of a slip of the tongue, but does that potentially imply more than one player could come in before the window shuts? I don't know. Personally, for me, I still think the most likely option is that one player comes in and not two, but you never know. So that's what Mikel had to say about actually finding a replacement for Pepe. On Pepe himself and why he left, he spoke a little bit about that. He was asked, did the fee get on top of Nico a little bit? Did that £72 million price tag just weigh a little bit too heavy on him to really fulfil his potential here? He said, I don't know. I think Nico has tried to deal with that in the best possible way He is not responsible for the price the club pays for him. He has tried everything. His attitude and the way he is just phenomenal. You just have to meet the person because you just love him for the way he is. But then in terms of the decision you have to make on the pitch, who do you select? We made other decisions, and obviously that has an impact in the chances he has had to prove his quality. He spoke plenty more as well, and do head over to the arsenal.com. You'll find the full transcript for what Mikel had to say and all the answers he spoke about Pepe and everything else on there. And he has some quite nice words to Pepe, but the fact is it just hasn't worked out. It's been pretty clear for the last year or so that Arteta doesn't really trust him. He's moved away from him, and that is why ultimately he has now joined Nice for the season on loan. Elsewhere in the presser, some of the main things, team news-wise, looking pretty confident ahead of the game against Fulham. He said everybody is trained this week, everybody is fine, has been training, so hopefully we'll have a full team to choose from, apart from Reece, who you know has been injured for a few weeks now. Obviously he's talking about Reece Nelson there, who isn't available at the moment because of injury, but everyone else is fit. Fingers crossed it stays that way after today's training session. And, you know, if that is the case, and you're looking at the predicted 11 for Arsenal this Saturday, and you just have to say it's going to be the same team that we've seen for the opening 3 games of the season. I'd be very surprised at the moment if he does make any changes. Didn't against Bournemouth last weekend. I can't see he's going to make any more changes for the team. Yes, there is the threat of Mitrovic, and Arteta spoke about Mitrovic in his press conference and that aerial threat that he does provide, and you know, potentially he could bring Tomiyasu in, he could deal with that threat or help deal with that threat even more because Tomiyasu's so good in the air, but I just don't think he's going to do that. I think he's going to stick with the same side that we've seen, and so that's going to be Ramsdale in goal, and then it's going to be Ben White at right back, Saliba and Gabriel at centre back, with Zinchenko over on the left, and then it's going to be Thomas Partey, Granit Xhaka and Martin Odegaard, and then obviously up front it just picks itself at the moment, so that's going to be Saka, Jesus and Martinelli. So that's a predicted 11 for the game. Some other comments from Mikel in the press conference. He's asked a little bit about outgoings and particularly Hector Bellerin, you know, what's going to happen with Hector, and he says there are still a few players we're discussing their futures and we'll try and find the best solution for all parties. Now my understanding of Bellerin's situation is you know, Betis is still the most likely destination for Hector. I was speaking to someone yesterday, he said 90% sure it will end up being Betis, but having said that, Barcelona are kind of lurking in the background at the moment and have been in talks with Bellerin's representatives. Now Barca's priority has been on Juan Foyth, the ex-Spurs player who's over at Villarreal as a potential right back. It's looking like he's going to prove too expensive for them, and they are looking at other options, and Bellerin is on that list of options. They haven't made a bid to Arsenal, or haven't made any sort of offer to Arsenal yet in terms of Bellerin, but people close to Bellerin think that offer could well arrive before the end of the window, so and that will give Bellerin a decision to make. At the moment, Betis is still the preferred destination, that's still the most likely destination, but someone was saying to me yesterday, if Barca do come knocking and make an offer, then it's, you know, it's difficult to ignore that. You'd have to sort of weigh up the options because of the sort of size club Barcelona are, and obviously Bellerin's got links to Barcelona as well. That's where he came to Arsenal from, so it'll be interesting to see what happens with him, but I fully expect Bellerin to leave before the end of the transfer window. I'll be very surprised if the window shuts and he's still here. Don't think that'll be good for him, and not really going to be good for the squad either, because clearly he doesn't want to be here, and you want happy players around the dressing room, and that's why Arsenal will be looking to get him out the door. But you know, what do? You can't just give Bellerin away to Barcelona, can you? Surely if they do make an offer, you'd want money for Bellerin. Still got a year left of his contract, he's only 27, he's a Spanish international. You know, someone like Barca who do pay big wages come in for Bellerin, then you can't be giving him away for free, surely. So we'll wait and see what happens with that. Anyway, plenty of other things discussed in the press conference. Like I said, head over to arsenal.com. You've got the full transcript up there already from what Mikel has been speaking about today. Before I go quickly, Europa League draw has just been made. We're all watching it here in the press room at London Colney, and Arsenal have been drawn with PSV Eindhoven, obviously managed by Ruud van Nistelrooy. That'll be interesting, certainly if Martin Keown is working for BT Sport that night and he'll be doing the interviews on the touchline. So PSV Eindhoven, FK Bodo Glimt from Norway, so Martin Odegaard heading back to Norway. What a great looking away trip that'll be for the away fans who make that trip to the Arctic Circle, and FC Zurich as well, so some potentially cold games there for Arsenal in the Europa League, which is Group A. So that's Arsenal, PSV, Bodo Glimt and FC Zurich. Interesting Europa League group. The fixtures and the sort of dates of the fixtures and who plays when, home and away, that will be announced tomorrow, I believe. That's what I was told here today, tomorrow morning. So keep your eyes peeled for that if you are interested in making some of those away games in the Europa League. That's it from me. Thank you very much for watching. As always, I'll be at the Emirates tomorrow, of course, so keep your eyes peeled for all the usual stuff from that game. Speak to you soon.